They laughed at me in court. My ex-wife, her smug new boyfriend, and even her father, all sitting there in their tailored suits, whispering like they already won. To them, I was just the barber. The guy with scissors and clippers, not worth a second glance. Natalie, my ex, smirked as her lawyer demanded the house, the shop, and even my tools. She said I had no ambition, no future. But what none of them knew was that I'd been quietly building something much bigger than a corner barbershop. For years, while they mocked the grease on my hands and the simplicity of my trade, I was laying the foundation for an empire. I didn't dress the part. And that's exactly what I wanted. This is the story of how they tried to strip everything from me, and how I let them, right up until the judge asked me to speak. I met Natalie on a rainy Wednesday afternoon, about 5 years ago. I was in the middle of lining up a regular client's fade when the door to my little shop swung open. She walked in with an umbrella in one hand and a look of mild panic on her face. "Do you take walk-ins?" she asked, lifting her hand to show a chunk of uneven bangs. "Please tell me you can fix this." Her hair was a mess, but the woman was stunning, polished, dressed in a navy blue blazer and heels that didn't belong anywhere near my cracked tile floor. I nodded and gestured to the chair. Turns out she was a flight attendant, back in town for 3 days before her next rotation. Said she'd gone to some upscale salon downtown that didn't understand layers. I worked quietly, carefully, until her reflection in the mirror relaxed. By the time I finished, she smiled like I just performed a miracle. That smile changed everything. Natalie kept coming back every few weeks. Each time, she'd bring some new story about her flights, celebrities she saw at airports, and the drama between crew members. I listened. I laughed. I offered her water when she forgot to hydrate and snacks when she skipped meals. One day she invited me out for drinks. "You probably get asked this a lot," she said, swirling a cocktail in her hand, "but has anyone ever told you you're wasted behind a barber's chair?" I remember laughing, not knowing how to answer. But it felt good. Like maybe, for once, someone saw me as more than just the guy who cut hair. We started dating. It was slow at first. Her schedule was chaotic, and mine wasn't much better, but we made it work. She'd fly out, and I'd text her playlists to help her sleep in hotel rooms. She'd send me photos from layovers in Italy, Japan, Dubai, places I'd only dreamed of. For a while, I thought I was living that dream through her. A year in, she moved in with me. My apartment was small, above the shop, but she never complained. At least not then. She'd sit at the front desk when she had time off, scrolling through travel blogs while I trimmed fades and shaved beards. My clients liked her. She made the place feel alive, and I was in love. We got married in the spring. Small ceremony. Her dad wasn't thrilled. "A barber, huh?" he'd muttered when we first met. But he signed off on helping us get a house, saying everyone deserved a fresh start. It felt like I was finally being taken seriously. But looking back, that was the beginning of the script flipping. The little comments, the jokes at parties, the subtle ways she started reshaping how the world saw me, and how I saw myself. But I ignored it then, because I thought love was supposed to overlook the cracks. I was wrong. It didn't happen all at once. At first, it was just little things. Natalie stopped calling me during layovers. Her texts got shorter, less playful. Where she used to send selfies from hotel rooms or snapshots of meals in foreign cities, now I got landed, or busy, tell. I figured it was stress. Her schedule had picked up. She talked more and more about corporate clients, fancy dinners, and potential promotions. I wanted to be supportive. I offered to make her meals when she was home. I gave her space when she said she needed to rest. But then came the odd receipts. One Friday, I was sorting mail and found a credit card bill. One we shared, mostly for groceries and utilities. That month, there were charges for a rooftop bar I'd never been to, a restaurant known for 5-course tasting menus, and a boutique hotel not far from the airport. All on nights she told me she was staying in to rest. I didn't ask her right away. I didn't want to be that guy, the paranoid husband, the insecure barber. But it gnawed at me, so I started paying attention. Every Thursday, she said she had internal meetings. But her car wouldn't be at the airport lot when I drove past. The first time I saw it parked downtown, outside that boutique hotel, I told myself she might be meeting friends. The second time, I stopped believing in coincidence. Then came the new jewelry, a delicate gold bracelet. A watch, she said, was a gift from a colleague. I asked which colleague. She rolled her eyes and said I was being weird. "It's called appreciation, Leo. Something you might get if you ever left your little shop." I smiled and said nothing. I was learning. One night, she came home late. Way past midnight. She smelled like cologne that wasn't mine. I asked if everything was okay. She looked at me, dead in the eyes, and said, "You're starting to feel more like a roommate than a husband." That one hit different. After that, she started locking her phone, leaving the room to take calls, turning the shower on just to answer messages. Her laugh changed. The softness in her voice vanished when she spoke to me. It was like watching someone I loved slowly evaporate. I began sleeping downstairs on the couch. I told her I was having back pain from work. But the truth was, I couldn't lie next to someone who barely noticed whether I was there or not. And yet, I still hoped I was wrong. I still cooked for her. I still folded her laundry. I still believed maybe things would get better. But one day, a regular client, who also happened to be a friend of Natalie's crew, came into my shop for a quick trim. As he was leaving, he looked awkward, like he wanted to say something but didn't. Then he muttered, "Hey, you know she tells people you're separated, right?" I just nodded, smiled, and closed the door behind him. That was the moment I knew, not suspected, knew it was a Tuesday. I remember because the shop was slow, raining outside, quiet. I closed early. I figured I'd surprise Natalie. Maybe cook something. Try to talk. God, I was still trying to talk. I pulled into the driveway just past 6. Her car was there, lights on in the kitchen. From the outside, everything looked normal. Until I walked in, I didn't slam the door. I didn't make a sound. I just stepped inside, set my keys down, and heard laughter. Hers. Not the tired, forced chuckle she'd been giving me for months. This one was light, flirty. I turned the corner into the kitchen and froze. She was standing by the counter, glass of wine in hand, and leaning, close, into a man I'd never seen before. Tall, tan Chris shirt, confident smirk. His hand was on her waist, like he belonged there. They didn't see me at first, but when they did, Natalie's expression snapped, smile gone, eyes wide. The guy stepped back, almost like he was caught shoplifting. Natalie, on the other hand, didn't flinch for long. "This isn't what it looks like," she said automatically. I didn't answer. I just looked at her, then at him, then back again. "Get out," I said. Calm. Flat, like I'd practiced it in a dream. "Leo, this is my house too. You don't get to tell me to leave." I almost laughed. "The house I bought, the one I pay for. That house, Oliver." "Yeah." I finally learned his name, cleared his throat and muttered something about giving us space. He bolted. I didn't stop him. The coward didn't even take his glass. Natalie started pacing. "You're being dramatic," she snapped. "You've been distant. You barely touch me anymore. I needed connection." "Don't," I cut in. "Don't make this about me." I walked over to the dining table and picked up the envelope I'd left there the night before. Documents, timelines, and printouts. Proof. I know about the dinners, the hotel stays, the late-night calls. I know about him. And I know you've been telling people we're already over. She didn't deny it. Instead, she said something that finally broke whatever piece of me was still holding on. "You work with scissors and clippers, Leo. You'll never understand the world I live in. I outgrew you." For a moment, I said nothing, just nodded. Then I picked up my phone, dialed a number, and turned the screen so she could see it ringing. "Who are you calling?" "The police," I replied. "I want everything documented." Her eyes narrowed. "You're overreacting." "Am I? Because I also called my lawyer." She froze. "You have 30 minutes to pack a bag," I said quietly. "You don't have to go far. Just not here." "You can't do this?" I just did. And for the first time in months, I felt like I could finally breathe. The days after I asked her to leave were strangely quiet. No yelling, no long texts, no attempts to explain, just silence until the paperwork came. Her lawyer sent a formal notice of divorce proceedings and a list of demands. It read like a shopping list. The house, half of my business assets. Even my clippers and scissors were itemized. I should have been angry. Instead, I almost laughed. She and her lawyer assumed what most people did. That my little barbershop was all I had. A place with good vibes, a loyal customer base, and a name painted by hand above the door. They thought if they pushed hard enough, I'd fold. But they didn't know what I'd built behind that door. For the last 2 years, I'd been quietly working. Not just on fades and shaves, but on expansion, branding, and franchising. While Natalie was out chasing better dinner reservations, I was negotiating leases in 3 other cities. L3 Lounge, my brand, was more than just a barbershop now. It was a name people recognized. Men with 6-figure salaries booked appointments weeks in advance. My shops weren't just about hair, they were about lifestyle, about presence. And I owned them all. Silently. Solely. Clean. But I didn't let on. When my lawyer, Jules, asked what I wanted to do, I told him, let them keep thinking I'm small. Let them keep thinking the clippers in my hand are the only tools I own. He smiled. They're going to walk into court thinking you're just a barber. Let's make sure they never see the scissors coming. So, I played the part. I went to meetings in my shop uniform, showed up at the pre-hearing with grease on my shoes and caluses on my fingers. I let Natalie and her crew, her dad, her slick-haired boyfriend, and their overpriced lawyer, believe they'd already won. At night, I stayed late at the shop. Not just to avoid the silence of a half-empty house, but to prepare. I reviewed my books, organized my assets, printed every message she sent me after leaving, especially the ones where she hinted at wanting to work things out. If the settlement was generous. My sister, Mia, came by one evening with takeout. "Are you ready for court?" she asked between bites of spring rolls. "Ready enough," I said, not looking up from the folder I was labeling. "You're playing this smart," she said. "But are you sure you're okay?" I paused, then looked at her and said, "I'm better than okay." For the first time in years, I'm not shrinking to make someone else feel tall. The night before the hearing, I sat in my garage, the same space Natalie once called a waste of square footage, and looked at the tools she wanted to claim. I sharpened my oldest scissors, polished my straight razor, and smiled. Let them come. Let them laugh. The real cut was still waiting. I showed up to court wearing my cleanest shop uniform. Pressed shirt, dark jeans, leather boots. My name stitched above the chest pocket. I could have worn a suit. God knows I own a few now. But Jules, my lawyer, had a better idea. Let them see what they think you are, he said. Then show them who you actually are. Natalie was already there when I walked in. She sat between her father and Oliver, both of them smug in tailored blazers. Her makeup was flawless, her posture perfect, her smile rehearsed. She looked like a woman walking into victory. When she saw me, she leaned in and whispered something to Oliver. He chuckled. Her dad smirked. I just sat down. The hearing started predictably. Her lawyer painted her as the long-suffering wife of a working-class man who never aspired to more. He spoke of emotional neglect, financial imbalance, and how Natalie had contributed significantly to my professional life and deserved equitable compensation. Then came the asset claims. They demanded the house, half my business interests, a large monthly support payment, and for good measure, a vehicle that was technically under my name but had been oozed primarily by the couple. I didn't flinch. I watched. I waited. Natalie barely looked at me during the first hour. She was too busy nodding along to every dramatized accusation. Then Jules stood. No objection to the claims being made. He said calmly, but we believe there's been a misunderstanding of the nature of my client's business, its timeline, and ownership structure. The judge nodded. Proceed. Jules walked to the center of the room, briefcase in hand. He opened it slowly, almost theatrically, and pulled out a stack of documents. He started with the business licenses, 4 of them, 4 different cities, all under the L3 Lounge brand, all under my name only. Then came the purchase contracts, bank loan agreements, and refinancing papers for the house, executed months before Natalie ever filed. I glanced over. Natalie's brows were starting to pull in. Her dad stopped whispering. Next, Jules played a short video on a tablet. It was a social media clip. A well-known influencer getting a haircut at one of my shops. Tag fail theory experience. Shout out to Leo for building the dopest luxury men's grooming lounge I've ever seen. The courtroom was silent. I'm sorry, the judge said, adjusting his glasses. You own all of these locations. I stood and answered myself. Yes, Your Honor. I started with one, reinvested every penny, hired and trained barbers, built the brand, took business classes, and I've kept my name off the storefronts for privacy. But everything is documented. Every license, every profit sheet. None of it was shared. No joint funds, no co-signers. Natalie's lawyer tried to pivot, said she, emotionally supported the journey, and encouraged the brand from the beginning. That's when Jules pulled out the final piece, screenshots of messages between Natalie and Oliver. In one, she called my job embarrassing. In another, she said she'd laugh if that little shop ever made real money. Then came the hotel receipts, the deleted texts we'd recovered, the restaurant bills charged to our joint card, all dating back before she ever filed. The judge's face hardened. Her dad leaned forward, whispering something sharp and frantic. Natalie, for the first time, looked pale. Then she stood. Your Honor, she said, voice trembling but still with that old edge of entitlement. I was messled. I thought we were in a partnership. I gave up job offers to stay near Leo and support his dream. Jules raised a brow. And yet, Your Honor, she removed her wedding ring at work, told colleagues they were separated, and was actively planning a life with another man. We have emails discussing the redesign of Leo's garage into a home gym, without his knowledge. The judge folded his hands and looked directly at Natalie. Why would you seek half of a business you didn't know existed? No answer. Just silence. Then came the ruling. She got nothing from the business. No share, no buyout. The house, sole ownership to me. The refinance made her father's co-sign void. She was ordered to vacate permanently. She was granted temporary support, 3 months, to transition, and even that was questioned. The rest, denied. Oliver, he didn't stick around to hear it. He left during the recess and never came back. Her father, red-faced, he stormed out, muttering about how the judge was biased. But I'd seen the way he looked at me before he left. He didn't see a barber anymore. He saw the man who just beat them all. And Natalie. She sat frozen, mascara smudged, clutching a copy of the verdict like it might still change. She whispered as I walked past her, "You'll regret this." I didn't stop. I didn't speak. Because for the first time in our story, I was the one holding the scissors. The courthouse parking lot was strangely quiet when I stepped outside. Natalie's voice still echoed in my head. You'll regret this. But if regret felt like freedom, maybe she was right. I didn't look back. By the time I got home, the locks had been changed, on advice from Jules. My name was now the only one on every deed, lease, and account. The house was officially mine. I stood in the entryway, staring at the bare spot on the floor where Natalie's decorative vase used to sit. It felt emptier, but lighter. The first real fallout came that weekend. Her dad, Edgar, started spreading rumors through the business community, claimed I'd manipulated the courts, hidden assets, and ambushed his daughter. He tried to paint me as a bitter blue-collar man who struck gold and turned cruel. But here's the thing about reputations in small cities: they don't change just because you shout. Other shop owners already knew I'd bought out my original place. Some had seen me at late-night business association meetings, still in my apron, still shaking hands with suppliers and contractors. They weren't fooled by Edgar's version of events. In fact, 2 of them reached out and said if I ever wanted to partner, they'd be in. Word got around. Not just about the court victory, but about what came before it. About the man who built an empire from a pair of scissors and didn't gloat when he won. Meanwhile, Natalie's life began to slide. Her glamorous, new relationship collapsed within weeks. Oliver transferred. Rumor was, his airline found out about the affair. There were murmurs of conflict of interest, some HR inquiry. Whatever happened, he was gone. Natalie quit her job not long after. I don't know if it was voluntary or if she was pushed out, but people talked about her meltdown in the break room, about how the client she and Oliver were managing requested a new team after the court documents leaked. She tried to sue the company for emotional distress. It didn't stick. One morning, about a month after the ruling, I opened my business email to find a message titled, "Closure." It was from her. She wrote that she missed the simple days, that she never meant to hurt me, and that she hoped we could meet, just to talk. She said she realized too late that I wasn't the man she outgrew. I was the one she'd underestimated. I stared at the screen for a while. Then I hit archive. Not replying, just archive. That chapter was closed. Not because I hated her, not even because I was angry anymore, but because I'd outgrown the version of me who needed her validation. Natalie wasn't my downfall. She was my catalyst, and every lie she told about who I was, what I was worth, what I could never become, only sharpened my shear. These days, I still wear my shop uniform. Not because I have to. Hell, I could sit in an office all day now, manage the numbers, delegate the schedules, let others take over the scissors. But that's not me. I love the work, the precision, the rhythm of conversation and clippers, the smell of fresh towels and shaving cream in the morning, the quiet satisfaction of giving someone confidence in their reflection. Clients walk in now and recognize the name. The L3 Lounge is booked weeks in advance. We opened our 5th location last month. The 6th is already under construction. Funny thing is, the people who once looked down on me, the ones who mocked my little shop, are now calling for appointments. Some of Natalie's old friends act like we're long-lost acquaintances. I treat them the same way I treat everyone, with courtesy, a clean fade, and no discounts for memory loss. As for Natalie, I've seen her drive by once or twice. Her car slows down when it passes the house. The one she said wasn't good enough. The one I renovated room by room, brick by brick, after she left. The one with the new garage twice the size of the old one, now my private studio, not a gym, not hers. She doesn't stop. Neither do I. People often ask me if I got revenge. But I don't believe in revenge. I believe in reminders. And every polished floorboard, every signed lease, and every clean lineup I finish by hand is a reminder. To her, to them, and to me, that success isn't loud. It doesn't need shouting. It just shows up, sharp, steady, like a good barber. And when they think they've cut you down, you cut back cleaner, stronger, smiling.